defining moments can happen many times in a person's life. And personally, I've had a few. The moment I moved in 2005 to the UK from South Africa to build what I hope would be a better life for myself and the kids I was planning on having. The moment I became a mother in 2006. The moment I became a mother to a disabled child in 2013. And the moment I became a single mother to 3 amazing, funny, pain-in-the-ass boys in 2019. 2019 was probably the hardest emotional year of my life. I lost my father suddenly, my youngest developed epileptic seizures, I lost my aunt to cancer, and my husband of 17 years decided to walk away. I'd find myself many times in tears of confusion, frustration, and isolation. But my character, although being lovingly described as perpetually positive, annoyingly perpetually positive, just carries on. I'm the type of person that just carries on no matter what. I never thought I'd be a single mother to 3 boys, but I am, and I just carry on. I never thought I'd be the mother to a disabled child, but I am, and I just carry on. Allow me to introduce you to my family. This is Broden. He's 15, and he's my oldest. He is a gloriously typical 15-year-old boy who's too cool to come out with us, but still needs me around. Broden is fiercely protective of his brothers, even if he doesn't show it at all times. This is Chase. Chase is 10, and he is fantastically dramatic, ultra-sensitive, very affectionate little boy. And this is Trent. Trent is my 8-year-old, Paw Patrol-obsessed, swing-loving, stone-playing little boy. What I do know about Trent is he's autistic, he's nonverbal, he has epileptic seizures and global developmental delay. Trent is also orally hypersensitive. What that means is that he can't tolerate any food, so he's peg-fed. That's a pipe that goes directly into his stomach. He has to have about 6 bottles a day to meet his nutritional needs of a specialized fortified formula. Trent is also severely lacking in growth hormones, which will affect his composition and health as he gets older. So he now needs a daily injection of growth hormones, along with his evening medication and melatonin supplements. Trent didn't sit until he was 10 months old. He didn't crawl until he was 16 months old, and he didn't walk until he was 3.5. He still has a very immature, wobbly walk, so a wheelchair is needed. Trent is our SWAN. SWAN stands for Syndromes Without a Name. In basic terms, he has a genetic condition that is so rare that science can't yet explain it. Approximately 6,000 children are born every year in the UK that may never receive a diagnosis. I'll say that again. Approximately 6,000 children every year are born in the UK that may never receive a diagnosis. Trent is one of them. So, what can I say that will give you an idea of what it's like to live with a child with no diagnosis? What can I say that will make you stop just for a second and understand what it's like living in the complete unknown? How can I answer questions I ask myself? Questions like, will he ever talk? Will he have shorter life expectancies? Was this my fault? I can tell you about the waiting, the constant knot in your stomach waiting, the waiting for many test results to come back, test results spent many hours in hospitals after waiting, test results after many hours spent in hospitals, many hours speaking to doctors, different therapists, different experts, hoping to get some sort of answer, waiting while you're having to physically restrain or sedate your child after vial of blood is taken or scans being carried out, doing this, all of this knowing that we're having to do it to hopefully find a diagnosis. I can tell you about the fear that rears its ugly head every time Trent is sick, the fear every time I look too far into the future, who will look after him if and when I can't. I can tell you about the roller coaster that we go on trying to find a diagnosis. In Trent's short life, he's been given 2 diagnoses that were eventually discarded. He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at the age of 10 months old due to having stiff upper limbs, but this was discarded. Then after an MRI scan when he was a year old, he was given a diagnosis of periventricular leukomalacia, long one. Basically, that's damage in the white matter part of the brain. So brain damage was confirmed. But The PVL diagnosis was not consistent with Trent's delays and behaviors, so that was later discarded after a second MRI scan when he was about 3.5. I can tell you how hard this is for his brothers. Although many events that we've been to, we've had to leave early, or we haven't been able to even go to because it's been too much for Trent. And my boys do this each and every time without a complaint. I can tell you how hard it is writing what Trent can't do over and over again for his DLA or his education health plan. Literally takes your breath away. And I can tell you about the grief. When you find out that your child has a disability, the grief is overwhelming. You grieve for the loss of what you thought your child would be. You grieve for the future that you envision for your child and their siblings because their life has been altered. I don't know what stage I would say I am in the grief process, but when milestones are missed that you are expecting to happen, the grief is overwhelming. So I became a parent of a child with a disability. With my just canned attitude, I started to research. I spoke to doctors, I spoke to nurses. Nobody knows Trent better than I do. And I got involved. When my local park didn't have any all-inclusive equipment, I took on the challenge. I researched, I got plans, I got prices. Unfortunately, they didn't take up my proposal, but we were working with another local park to hopefully make that more all-inclusive. I joined the PTA of my son's special needs school at Shepherd's Down, and we're helping to raise funds and just the awareness of the special needs school and help support the children at the school and the amazing staff that attend there. I joined a charity called SWAN UK. They help and support families like mine along their journey into this world, and I went as far to become a parent representative. What that means is I get to speak to other families that are starting this journey and help them understand and give them the support and empathy they need at the start of their journey. I also joined the 100,000 Genome Participant Panel. The panel sits at the heart of Genomics England, and we make sure that decisions made are in the best interest of the participants, as well as aiding in decisions in terms of genetic testings that are going forward for the NHS. And this led me on to starting my own charity. I Am Super Capes. It's a small charity, but we're doing big things. It all started on the back of Hurricane Haiyan hitting the Philippines in 2014. I took on the task with a friend of mine to send over some donations. A small one, a small task that we thought it was going to be. We were very wrong. We put a call out to all our contacts, and we landed up sending over 350 boxes to the Philippines of medical supplies, clothing, footwear, toys. We went through each and every item, and I did it with Trent literally strapped to my chest. But I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something more for the children. I wanted to make them remember that in a very scary adult world, that they are children. I wanted to give them the power to be children. So I Am Super Capes was born. We make superhero capes from bright, happy fabrics, and we make them as big as we can so the children can wrap it around themselves. We use, as I said, second-hand duvet covers, which are perfect because they've got the correct prints and the colors that the children like. Now, you know when you put a superhero cape on a child, and some grown-ups, it makes them feel special. They begin to role play. They feel strong, they fly around, or they stand in the super pose. And that is what I wanted to do. I hold super sewing days where people come along and sew. And if you can't sew, you can cut, or pin, or iron. There's something for everyone. I have schools using I Am Super Capes concept in their textile curriculum. Kids sewing capes for kids. Doesn't get better than that. These are some of the examples of the children that have received our capes, our little heroes. Freddie takes his cape when he was going for chemotherapy treatment because it made him feel strong. Sienna loved the color pink and Doc McStuffins, and her mother would say that she would fly around feeling strong when she was feeling ill after her treatments. I even got to work with Winchester Young Carers, a fantastic organization, where we took along some plain capes and the children made their own capes. They had their own perception of what made them feel super, and they created their own capes. These are some of the examples of some of the capes we make. And as I said, secondhand duvet covers, they're donated. It's a simple process. It doesn't get better than that. I'll leave you with a quote from Joan Ryan. Motherhood is about raising a child and celebrating the child you have, not the child that you're wanting to have. It's about understanding that he's exactly the person you're meant to be, and if you're lucky, he might just make you be the teacher to make you into the person that you're meant to be.